Greetings, people of Earth, people of the sun, and extraterrestrials too. If you're from another galaxy or another solar system or even another dimension, glad you stumbled upon this podcast. I hope you get something out of it. My name is Victor Williams. Today we're doing a reading from a book called Honey from the Rock. It's by Lawrence Kushner. Life is inescapably filled with meaning, and that is because the whole thing is prearranged. We have no more freedom than an oak tree. That is, we are free to be who we are, or free to pretend that we are someone else, but we are not free to be someone else. And this is the meaning of meaning. Being connected with something that is itself connected with something. And being part of a constellation of parts that is itself part of an even greater scheme. Or, in other words, that the notion of parts is, in truth, a convenience we perpetrate so as to permit us not having to fathom the consequences of our most trivial acts. Some deep stuff. Thanks, Lawrence. So the question is, who are you? Right? Who are you? Do you know? Do you think you know? I don't always have the clearest picture of myself. On a good day, I can usually look myself in the mirror and be like, oh, okay, I recognize this guy. I think I know what he's about. He's a fucking criminal, and he used to be shifty and shady, but that's not necessarily who I am today. I don't have to be that person today. That's the cool part. As you go further and further down this road of recovery or spiritual soul seeking, moving back towards the good and the pure and the beautiful, you start to get a clearer picture of who you are. There's the version of us in the streets, doing street shit, and then there's who we really are. Not who we are on Facebook. People's lives look so fucking great on Facebook, don't they? They look incredible. People are hang gliding and fucking motorcycle jumping over the Grand Canyon, having sex 25 hours a day on a beach while the sun rises and the sun sets at the same time. It's magical what people's lives look like when they get to choose how you see it. We love to control the perspective of other people when it comes to us. We hold up 50 different masks for 50 different situations, 50 different people. I'm just picking a number. It's probably way higher than that. But what happens when you start down this path is you start to peel away the layers. I think of it as like back in movie magic days, when special effects in a movie used to consist of wardrobe and hair and makeup. If you've ever seen one of those time-lapse videos of someone sitting in a stylist's chair, and they just do some incredible shit with latex and eyeliner and egg yolk. I don't know how they do it or what they use. I just know it looks really, really fucking cool when it's finished. And when you start down this path, what starts to happen is it's that time-lapse video in reverse. You start to peel off layer by layer this mask, and it's uncomfortable. It's got to be uncomfortable sitting in that chair and getting that makeup put on. And think of it in reverse. It doesn't feel great peeling away those layers of the mask, stripping away that foundation, because sometimes the monster underneath is even scarier than the monster on top, if that makes any sense. What I noticed in my life began to happen is my personality started to fracture as a response to the exposure of myself to a whole new world. Because let's be honest, getting clean and trying to live right is a whole new fucking world for me, and probably for a lot of you. And what happens is your psyche starts to develop an alter ego of sorts. Now, for a lot of us, the word ego, we hear that and we think pride. We think that dude has an ego the size of fucking Ohio, you know. But the ego is a pretty antiquated term. It pretty much just means a personality that isn't necessarily real. There's a lot of different viewpoints and a lot of different ideas about what the ego is, but for the point of this conversation, it it functions as a representation who and what you present yourself as to the world, to other people, to your friends, to your family, to your boss, and even to yourself. But in the end, it's false. It's just it's a compilation of a bunch of different ideas, and if you really want to get down to the bottom of it, there's really nothing there. Uh, that's some Buddhist philosophy. We don't necessarily need to go down that route. But for the point of this conversation, it's fucking freaky when you start to split in half. There's the person that is right here, right now, making this transformation happen, putting one foot in front of the other, developing new habits, doing things differently, seeing the world in a different light. And then there's the old you. There's the old you that still carries memories of the shit you did last year, the fights you got in, the little grudges that you might have, the dog shit you stepped in. It's this idea of who you think you are versus who you are trying to become and who you are today. And anybody who's gone through this immediately should know what I'm talking about. What it feels like to be two different people at the same time. It's a bizarre feeling. It's uncomfortable, and it's not something. It's not a pleasant part of this process. We'll put it that way. No, it just doesn't. Yeah, I'll pass. If you could, but you can't. You have to go through it. It's important to recognize the distinction between the old you and the person you're trying to become. Because a lot of people don't, and that's not good. People want to claim that they're the same person no matter where they go or what they do, as if personal authenticity were somehow voided by personal adaptability. But they're not, and it isn't. It's just something that happens, and if you know about it and what to look for, you can utilize it and make it work for you instead of in opposition to you. You can look in the mirror and say, you know what? The person that I see in front of me today is not the same person that robbed grandma last year. It's not the same person who went to prison 6 times. I look the same, maybe. Maybe I got my hair did. But you're a different person. literally, you're a different person. Your body regenerates in spectacular ways. It's constantly shedding dead stuff and recycling and renewing and regenerating. It's pretty cool. And that works on a spiritual level as well. If you start to think of shedding bad habits first, right? And then you start to shed the bad friends, the fucked up relationship with the boyfriend or the girlfriend that you really shouldn't be in, but somehow you can't seem to get out of. The dead end job that you despise working at. You just want to pour anthrax in the coffee pot, wrap the whole place in plastic explosives, and you're not going to necessarily be able to shed all of these things at once. Maybe you can. Good for you if you can. We aren't all so lucky. But in a spiritual metaphor, we can use this, shedding layer by layer, peeling off the makeup, taking away everything that we have been in exchange for something we're going to become. It's a great trade-off. At first it feels like dog shit. It really does. And you feel like a fraud. I did. I felt like a total fucking liar. Like, I was constantly reminded by my probation officer, by the people who wouldn't hire me because I was a felon or a recovering addict. You're going to be reminded of who you were, especially if you keep hanging out with the same people you did when you were doing your shit. They love to remind you. They love to knock you down a peg. Motherfucker, you ain't shit. What, so you got a little clean time, now you're a whole new something? Well, actually, douchebag, I am. And it's not up to you, actually, who I am. It's up to me. So, fuck you and fuck Facebook too. You don't gotta say it like that if you don't want to. You might get punched in the mouth if you say that shit, but honestly, nobody else should be able to tell you who you are. You gotta be able to stand up and say, you know what, yeah, I did some grimy ass stuff that I'm not proud of. But you know what I am proud of? I'm proud of the fact that I can acknowledge that. And I'm proud of the fact that I have the balls, metaphorically speaking, to reinvent myself. Any good movie that involves any kind of hero story, it follows a trajectory where you go from absolute loser crawling around on the floor of your apartment eating pizza that has roach houses on it, and by the end of the movie, you got 3 women slung over your shoulder. There's shit exploding all around you. You just saved the city from a nuclear missile shot from Planet Z. So be that hero in your own way, in your own life. And be proud of where you came from and what brought you to today, to the person you are and the person you're becoming. To get out there and kick some fucking ass. That's all I got for today. Like, subscribe, share, or don't do any of those things. It doesn't matter. I'm not getting paid either way. I'm here because I love it. Y'all take it easy.